Welcome to the whole damn table with Emily
and Brigitte.
Brigitte, we had our first guest on the podcast today.
And was she an amazing one? Karleigh, the mindset and manifestation coach.
She was incredible, like the best first guest that I think either of us could have possibly asked for on this podcast.
I agree, because she talked about vision boards as a tool to help us with taking those big leaps towards creating what we want. And why is that so important, Emily?
I mean, it's so important because you need to be able to see what you want in order to achieve it, right?
Absolutely. And we've heard from y'all that you're so excited to hear more about focusing on that big leap. And so that is a huge thing that we're going to be focused on for upcoming episodes.
Actually, guys, this whole season, we're going to focus on the big leap, and we have more guests lined up that are going to talk about their experience leaping. And we are leaping for joy over here with this. It's so fun.
Yes, they're going to be incredible with real world experience taking the leap themselves to inspire us to take our own leaps as well.
Yeah, and to also not feel alone when you're stuck in a period of your leap and you're just feeling a little bit rotted. And everybody's been through that, guys. It's not just you. Everybody's been there. So we're going to be able to not feel alone, feel a little bit more connected too. And I love that.
I'm so excited. So should we get started, Emily?
Yeah, let's just get to Karleigh. I can't wait for you guys to hear all about Karleigh. She's the best.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So excited to announce our guest today. Our first ever guest on the Whole Damn Table podcast is Karleigh Lindsay. Welcome, Karleigh. Karleigh is a mindset and manifestation coach, and she's on today because after discovering her purpose to help others align to their authenticity and tap into their true power, Karleigh leapt into entrepreneurship. So she started 2 companies, including Aligned and Empowered. She has a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, so she knows what she's talking about, y'all. I love how she brings in all of her knowledge to really empower others. So she takes a customizable, practical, and spiritual approach to each client, guiding them to their unique and personal versions of success. So I'm just welcome, Karleigh. So excited to have you here today.
Welcome.
Thank you so
Yay!
much. Thank y'all. I'm so honored to be here and just thrilled to be at this table with y'all.
Yes, we're bringing guests to the table. Yes, I love that. So, Karleigh, for people that do not know you and people that, aren't familiar with you, tell us like a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, man, that's such a big question. So let me field this, but I got it. So that actually is funny that is what came out, because that's so me. Like, that's so much what my whole life has just been like figuring out what I want to do and then talking to myself positively. You guys hear me say like, I can do it. I do that for myself all the time. And that's going to be probably the first tip that your listeners can take away is like, whenever you're on your way to doing anything, like, just adopt the mindset of like, I can do it, or at the very least I can try. So that's who I am. I'm here to help people. That is absolutely my purpose. I'm a projector in human design, which means I'm here to guide others and help use their energy more efficiently. I have been coaching my whole life, but I've only been doing it formally for a couple of years. When I found out that coaching was a job, I was like, what? I've been doing that my entire life for free. People get paid for that? And like, things shifted for me magically, really. Just a little bit of backstory and how I got here. So my degree's in psychology, just like Brigitte mentioned in the intro. And so I've always loved psychology. I was a bio major in college because I was pre-med. I took one intro to psychology class and was like, no, this is it. This is it. So I just loved it. It was so easy for me. And it was like so fascinating to me. Like, I always wanted more learning in the psychology sector, and bio was just like, like all doctors are bio majors, which, isn't even true. And so I switched my major and thought for sure I was going to be a doctor until I just wasn't motivated towards that goal anymore. I was like working 12 hours a day in a cancer clinic, coming home, writing essays and for med school. And then eventually I was sitting down trying to write. I eventually quit my job because I was like, okay, I don't have any like time to write, and maybe that's the problem. So I quit my job only to be sitting down with my notebooks trying to write these essays. And I wound up writing, do I even want this? Like, do I really want to be a doctor? Is that really the life I want for myself? And I just kept feeling like, no, like that's definitely not it anymore. So when I started thinking about like, what's my zone of genius? What do I love doing? You know, what kind of lifestyle do I want for myself? Coaching wound up coming to me, and then I'm a projector. So wait for the invitation is my strategy. And the doctor I was working with, my partner, and my best friend, all in separate occasions were like, you'd be an amazing life coach. And my coaching practice was born.
So good, Karleigh. And I love that, you had this path, you can kind of hear the mission even from the beginning when you talk about that you start off wanting to be a doctor. And there's clearly this core mission to help others and around health and around wellness. How would you say, once you started Aligned and Empowered, how has your mission evolved over time?
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't know this, but Aligned and Empowered was originally Life Coach Karleigh. So at the very beginning, it was LCK, and my goal was just to help people get out of their own way. Aligned and Empowered then became something else, right? And so Aligned and Empowered actually came from a client I had when I was Life Coach Karleigh. And she showed up, she took action, she like did all the steps, and she got amazing results. And her goal always was, I just want to be in alignment and feel empowered. And so, and with the intention to call in more of her, more people like that, more people who are ready to show up, who are ready to take on their goals, who are ready to invest in themselves, Aligned and Empowered was born. And it's become so much more than like helping you get out of your own way. It still is that. But now there's a big emphasis on positive psychology and overall well-being. Now it's about, not only getting what you want, but having the tools to always create what you want, to like long after working with me, still be able to have your dream life and continue working towards it. Because even when you hit any milestone, you're going to continue to grow and evolve. And my hope and my wish and my intention is for people to be able to take all of the tools that I give them during our time together, or in my book that will eventually come out, to thrive and to keep thriving forever. Because when you thrive, you have so much more to give everybody else. And so with that, Aligned and Empowered really hopes to eventually empower the individual so that we can ascend and help the planet lift up and all be better, create better parents, better girlfriends, better wives, better relationships, better children.
Yeah. Can the church say amen? Amen. Oh my gosh. I mean, we totally vibe with that, which is why we knew that you had to be our first guest on the podcast. And we're so excited for you. And this season, we're all talking about the big leap and how that's kind of shot you into this trajectory that you're in right now. Brigitte and I shared about this, and so we'd love to hear from you. What was your first big leap that you did? What was that outcome? And also, like, how did that kind of guide you in the leaps that you're taking today?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think creating Aligned and Empowered, or Life Coach Karleigh at the time, was definitely the big leap, right? And making the decision. Like, I remember telling my partner, I was trying to think of who I told, but I remember telling my partner, like, I'm not going to give up this dream of becoming a doctor until I have a new dream. That was like always very important to me. I really wanted something that I was definitely striving for. Now, in terms of like, most people would say that their big leap was like getting their first client. My first client kind of fell into my lap. I'm here to help people. I've always been that way. I was in a big group chat of other women, and she was like, I'm going through a career transition. And I was like, me too. And then she was like, I think I need a coach. And I was like, that's the career I'm transitioning into. Do you mind being my first client? And she was like, absolutely not. Like, let's do it together. And it was amazing. She was great. I absolutely really love and cherish my time with her. But for me, the big leap, the hardest part of starting the business and creating Aligned and Empowered was the Instagram. For whatever reason, I was just so scared of being seen. I was so afraid of like, what is whoever that I went to high school with or college with that like knows these old versions of me? what are they going to say? And at the core of it was, are they going to think I'm worthy of being a coach? Are they going to think I'm good enough? Are they going to think I'm full of shit? And I'm allowed to curse on here, right?
Oh, yes, of course. Go ahead.
Okay.
I mean, our name is the whole damn table, right?
That's right. Okay. Just checking.
Yeah.
So it was like this like big overwhelming concern of like, what are all these people who know the version of me that wanted to be a doctor? Am I going to look like a quitter? It was who know the version of me that was binge drinking and like being a maniac. And like, what about that one girl I was mean to in the hallway that one time, like forever ago? And it's like, the truth is that they don't care. Like the one person that came to mind when I first started, the one I was so worried about, she follows me now. She might listen to this. And what I wind up, like every time I see, sometimes she's the first person to watch my story. And when that happens, like it just reminds me how it's not a big deal. Like it's literally fine is the best way I can put it. And I hope she's getting value from it. I'm on a mission to empower the world. If the girl who thinks I was mean in high school is being empowered, I'm doing my job.
Yeah, I totally resonate with that story too, because I know being visible online and just was a big leap that I had to take. And I feel like I'm still taking along the way. I feel like I show up a lot in my Instagram stories, but as far as, posting content, that's the leap I'm working on is trying to do that. And it was for very similar reasons where I'm like, oh, okay, because I did this one thing, this one like bad thing during my life. It wasn't like murder people. So it wasn't like really bad. It was just that like, my brain was like, it's terrible. But, and I thought that, I couldn't do anything different, that I was always going to be stuck in this like 20 something version of myself that, was more of a hot mess than the hot mess I am today. So, it's very interesting, hearing that. Brigitte, do you have like any kind of like leaps around like visibility that you've had to go through? I'd love to hear that.
Oh, leaps to go through visibility.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, absolutely. I think that that's something that we can all relate to, of showing up, of sharing what it is that we're working on and what we really care about. And I love hearing from you, Karleigh, that, that's something that you noticed too, but that you really leaned into your mission and like the impact you're having on people, and the impact you want to have on the world to keep you motivated and to keep you going and keep you showing up when anytime doubt crept in. I think that's such a good reminder. And it's so interesting that that's like the first big leap, right? That, maybe changing directions and then showing up in that direction was a big leap. And I know, Karleigh, you mentioned one thing I love that you mentioned in terms of your approach with when you're working with clients is that you're kind of giving them all these tools where they can keep growing and keep evolving, because that's kind of the point, right? So when you look at that idea of helping someone to keep taking the leap, or for you, once you took that first leap to show up, but then there's still more to do, right? To keep showing up. So do you have any tools or kind of a strategy to keep leaping, to keep that motivation going?
Yeah, I mean, there's always more to do, right? Like even when you start living your dream life, right? You check all the boxes that you've been looking for, like you're inevitably going to want more. Like the human journey is a process of growth. So the tools that I use to keep me motivated and focused, I make vision boards. I have a virtual vision board and I have a physical vision board. Now, in addition, so I really prefer the virtual vision board because it's really easy to update, and like we use our phones all the time. And so having it on my phone, like I made my first specific virtual vision board. That's not the word I'm looking for. Let me explain. So the first virtual vision board I made was for my entire fucking life. It was like it was like, I want to see the Northern Lights. I want to go to Italy. I want to have a team. I want this, that, and the other. And it was like so overwhelming. And I'm pretty sure I accomplished nothing on it in the however long I had it. So then in January, I started making virtual vision boards that were focused on only 90 days, just 3 months. And that is how my virtual vision board goes now, right? And so from January to March, I easily achieved everything that was on there. Like like early March, I was like, I need to update this. And so I wound up teaching a class so that I could, update it with the class. But then I also have a physical vision board, which I'm not super crafty, so it doesn't really get updated very much. But I'm a non-specific manifestor in human design. You can tell that by your arrows in your human design chart if you're familiar with human design. But so I have a physical vision board. And if I get like stickers that are in alignment and they'll fit on the board, I'll put them there. But the way I have it set up is I've got my vision board and then I have my calendar. So what's the vision? What am I actually doing? And what do I have plans? And then I have my habit tracker. So what steps am I taking every single day to achieve that vision? And so it's all stacked in a way that I can like very clearly see. And those are definitely tools I recommend for staying on track. I mean, I'm a mindset and manifestation coach, and honestly, to me, they sound pretty redundant, right? Because your mindset does create a reality. So mindset is the best freaking tool you can have for doing anything, really. And if anybody is struggling on taking action, the best mindset tip I can give you is tell yourself to just try it. It's just an experiment. You'll just try. You'll see what happens. Make it kind of fun and playful, like a science experiment. Like, what if I just blah blah blah, and see if that gets you to do it. And so I answered your question like times a million, but let me know how that resonates.
Yeah, we're the same. We all are like, we love that. We love an overshare. And I also took this vision board class with you, and I felt like it was really, I felt like it was very interesting, your take on it with making it for a shorter time frame, like once per quarter, and seeing if you can hit that, and then maybe moving it down, like as you've been doing. And so I just wanted to hear from you, like, is there like a process that you could maybe share with people to be able to create the vision board that you do on your phone, and like how you were able to achieve it in, I'm assuming you set out for it to be done in a quarter, and you did it in 2 months. So like, what was maybe the driving force behind that? Was it like your mindset, or was that something else?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all combines together to create whatever you're experiencing. But I would say if you want to create a virtual vision board, one, I will probably be doing more classes. So come follow me on Instagram and I'm happy to walk you through it. But I would say like the what's really going to be important is focusing on like a key area of your life. So maybe it's the area that you haven't been doing so hot in. Maybe it's just the part of your life that like feeling like expanding that would feel really good and empowering. And like maybe it's your primary goal right now. And so I would say having no more than like 1 to 3 like categories of your life on your vision board. I would say make it attainable, like make sure that you're using pictures and words and ideas that you absolutely can accomplish in 3 months. And you'll probably underestimate yourself a little bit. So that's great because then you can achieve it. And with it being virtual, you can update it literally anytime. So you can make your vision board in Canva, just go to phone wallpapers. There's a bunch of them there. I have my own template that I'm happy to share with you guys. But so go in Canva with that in mind. I mean, I walk you guys through a whole process in the classes. So if you're like still feeling overwhelmed by all these instructions, just let me know. I will get you the replay or we'll figure it out. I'm not worried about it. So I think that's really important. And then something that I didn't actually share on the vision board class, but I meant to, was that if you already have something planned for the next 90 days, just put it on your vision board, just a little bit. Like, like for example, I made my first vision board in December for January through March. I knew damn well that I would be traveling in January. So I put a little passport picture on my vision board. I knew I would be using my passport, but that is part of my dream life. It's something I love doing. It's something that's really important to me. And knowing that that was happening and watching that happen in early January, I think kind of made the rest of the vision board feel more true and more tangible. I also include on my vision board a picture of the childhood version of myself. Like it's a picture of me at 2 years old with goofy sunglasses on wrong, holding a banana, not giving a flying fuck. And that's the version of myself that I'm trying to impress. And maybe impress isn't the right word, but that's the version of myself that I care the most about. That's whose dreams we're making coming true. That's who I get to be every single day in this adult body with these tools at my disposal.
Like your absolute true self.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like who I always was and who I was born to be. And the version of me that wasn't conditioned, that isn't here to impress anybody, that is just like, hello, motherfuckers, here I am.
What
That's
up?
the one that
Baby
I'm
Karleigh in
aiming
the
for.
house.
Yeah, I took your vision board class, and I also put some what I like to call, in like the most loving way, a derpy version of myself, because I, because I feel like all of like my little kid pictures are like derpy in the most like cute way, and I'm like, I want to be more like that, because I have some where I'm just, just like yelling into the world and like wearing some like, fairy wings, and then like a Donald Duck hat, and like, no rhyme or reason, but I was feeling myself. You know what? I loved that.
Yeah. It was like true Emily.
Yeah, true
Yeah. So
Emily.
I would say that's like some little key tips would be like, the childhood version of yourself, or like if you have a picture of you from your child, I feel like we all have one. I mean, if
Mhm.
we're fortunate enough to have it, but a picture from your childhood that like just really represents who you still truly are.
Yeah. Like at the core of your essence, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I actually haven't heard many people talk about that. You hear people talk about kind of inner child work or having that picture of yourself up, on a mirror or somewhere where you can see, but actually including it in your vision board just seems like such a neat idea of kind of integrating those different ideas and powerful tools into one.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
And I think it would be really fun to share on our Instagram stories the virtual vision boards that we all currently have, to kind of show the differences, because I think that would be very interesting for people to see how they look different, and also like all of our cute little kid pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. All the baby podcasters.
Yeah.
So
The baby pod squad.
baby pod squad. I love that. So Karleigh, I love the fact that you bring this very spiritual approach to what you do. You're clearly very connected. There's a lot of wisdom there. And then you're also very practical. You bring a very practical approach as well. So I'm curious, what do you think when we talk about a vision board? Sometimes I think people see that as just like, oh, just for fun, just something to do, cutting out pictures. But why do you think it actually helps people clarify their goals and actually helps them kind of achieve these aspirations?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple reasons. So, just like to address it from a practical standpoint, um, the fact that we use our technology all the time. Like, I don't know anybody who's gone a full day without their phone, like unless by force or like with lots of intention for a while. I mean, like just one day, just 24 hours. And so if we're going to have this little baby computer in our pocket all the time, if we're going to take it with us everywhere, if we're going to be looking at it fucking sometimes 5, 6, 8 hours a day. I mean, the lowest screen time I've ever seen, even on my own phone, and I'm pretty intentional about it, is like 3 hours, other than when I had no Wi-Fi. And so at the very least, you're spending 3 hours a day on your phone. So if you have your goals and your vision, especially for such a small period, like 30 to 90 days on your phone, even when you're just checking the time, your subconscious is scanning that. And it's like, oh yeah, those goals. And you're not even registering that. It's going straight past your conscious mind. And so every time you pick up your phone, every time you get a text message, your brain is low key comparing that text message to the vision that's behind it. Like, is this in line with who I want to be? And it gives you the chance to really check in with yourself and really decide, like, wait a minute, this girl gossiping to me, it does not support my vision of community that's sitting right here on this board. So from a practical standpoint, I mean, yeah, there's magic in it. I believe in magic. And I think if you don't believe in magic, you should consider the possibility that magic is real, because life's more fun that way. But if you're not magical, if magic's not for you, okay, suit yourself. Do it because of your subconscious brain, which is science. There's the reticular activating system. I always want to say syndrome because it's RAS, but it's the reticular activation system, whatever. It's your RAS. It's a spot in your brain that lights up when you imagine something. Also, the brain can't tell the difference between real and imagined. So when you have this vision board, you're low key imagining it, you're checking in with the things that are coming up over it, and your RAS is activating, which your RAS is the part of your brain that fills in the gaps. So once you imagine something, it's your RAS that is active and then trying to figure out, okay, now that my eyes are open and I'm not imagining this thing anymore, here we are. But you just said recently that we were actually somewhere else. So how do we get from there to there? And so like there's so many layers to it, no pun intended. There's so many layers to it that like it just works. Like, and if you make it really attainable, and like the one I use and guide you guys through, there's like 7 pictures on this. Like it's such a small amount, but they're so potent and tangible, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's not like data overload.
Yeah.
Right.
And also,
you guys should see my first one.
Yeah, that sounds like something I would do, just to like put everything in the kitchen sink in there. But I did want to touch on the that you were speaking about how it's there on your phone and then you have things that just like come in. And it's very interesting that you say that, because one of the things on there was to use my voice more. And when I put that in there, it was to do it with like less people pleasing and knowing that like I'm going to have to set boundaries and use my voice. And so I've been really feeling that recently where, you know, oh, this is not feeling right. I need to like readjust this. And like, how can I, you know, use my voice to be able to make the situation right for me. So it's very interesting that you point that out, because I've been noticing that more in myself since I've taken your vision board class. And so that's been a very interesting shift for me.
Oh my God, that is awesome. Thank you so much for reflecting that to me. That's so cool that you're seeing it work. And that's the best part about all of it, is that like, you know, all of our vision boards are totally unique to ourselves, right? And so you had no idea that when you put that on there, that it would change how you show up like on the day to day. And so that's so cool that you reflected that to me so that I can really see it in action for you, because that's all right. My day's complete. I'm good now.
You're like, drop the mic. I'm done with this podcast. I've done my job. I can go now. I've done the value. But I also want to note on that when you're going through the vision boarding process, at least in my perspective, and kind of making these shifts and changes in your life, it can kind of feel like at times that your life feels like a chaotic dumpster fire, at least in my opinion. Because you're making these shifts and changes, and so you're like setting these boundaries, setting things differently, and then like the world is having to kind of adjust to this new version of yourself. And so it may feel a bit like chaos, but it's like also remembering that you're doing this for yourself and you're the most important person in the world. At least that's what also the thing on myself is like, remember yourself and like remember you're important. And then like with my little derpy face.
I love hearing the success too. And I know, Karleigh, like you shared all the success you've had since making some of these tweaks to your own vision board and then sharing it with others. And we get to hear Emily's success. We get to hear about that alignment, like that check on the phone. That seems so powerful to me, of every time something comes in, that ping, that whether we're picking up the phone maybe to look at something and get that one little millisecond rather than just going by default, but actually kind of go by our own design of, this is what I created, is what I'm about to do, match. Is it like leading me to what I want to create? I love that so much. But I'm curious, so we're talking about the wins here. I wonder, is there ever a time that you kind of yourself, or maybe working with somebody else, saw someone have, you know, kind of run into some challenges where they did struggle to kind of get what they wanted, or maybe take that leap that might be required to get what they want that's on their vision board? And how did you overcome that, or help someone else overcome it?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, right? And I almost hesitate to say this because it doesn't sound as empowering as I'd like everything to sound, but a lot of times your external reality is just matching what you believe you're worthy of in your internal reality. And so I have had plenty of clients where
say that again. Say that one more time.
Sure.
Say it again.
Yeah, Your external reality is just mirroring the worthiness that you think is available to you in your internal reality. That's it. And so I have had clients that, they get hyper focused on a problem, or they, you know, they're they are secretly self-sabotaging, and they're not even telling me that they're doing it, and they may not even know that they're doing it. And what it usually boils down to is a problem of worthiness, and of not of worthiness, but of believing that you're worthy enough to have it. And so, and not really wanting it. So when I meet a client that's, if they're hyper focused on the problem, like for more than like 2 sessions, it's time to refer to a therapist. You're not ready for a solution to move forward with me. Coaching is for moving forward. Therapy is for getting okay with current stuff and past stuff. So I love to work in tandem with a therapist. So if I have a client that's hyper fixated on the problem and not ready for a solution, I'm quick to refer to therapy. I don't pretend to be a therapist. Now, if it's just like 2 sessions where it's like the same problems coming up, we'll get deeper and deeper every time. So it's like, okay, here are some action steps. Did you or did you not take the action steps? If you didn't, why not? Are you self-sabotaging? Do you not believe in yourself? Is this a mindset issue? And so really diving deep and asking the client so many questions. That's what coaching's all about. If you have a coach that is not asking you questions and they're just telling you what to do, you have a consultant. You don't have a coach. Fire them. No offense. So, I mean, unless you want a strategist, which I consider myself a coach and a strategist, but I'm very careful about when I use which, because the truth is the client's not going to do anything that really isn't their idea and doesn't come from their heart. I can give tools, which is so helpful if the client has already agreed that we have the goal that the tool is going to help them accomplish. So yes, I have had clients that have struggled with getting what they want. And sometimes it's a little tough for me. And like, I'm a manifestation coach. I should be able to help my clients manifest. But the truth is that I can't be responsible for your results. You have to show up. You have to do the work, the internal and the external work. Manifesting is not only wishing and hoping. There's wishing and hoping involved, but it's showing up, it's taking aligned action, and it's believing that it's possible for you. That's when you're really going to get what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that, because I know that for me, when I'm, trying to go through something, it's like, I feel like that Bridget always says it's like that I'm like the creative powerhouse. I have all these ideas. I'm just like this solution monster. And so, but like sometimes you need like some outside input in there to kind of understand that if your reality is only like here, then you're only going to see the solutions that are in here, and not like take off the horse blinders and see everything that's available to you. And so I feel like that's really powerful. One thing that I would ask is, you were saying that since you're kind of in like mindset, manifestation, and like all of those like juicy things, what do you feel like that, how do you feel like that's kind of evolving? Like if you're looking towards the future, and like, what do you hope that your role is in kind of the evolution of like coaching and manifestation and mindset, and how that is moving forward?
My hope is that through mindset and manifestation coaching, everybody, every single individual on this planet will understand and know they don't have to be a product of their conditioning. They really can have whatever they want. And it just has to be them showing up, believing that they can have it, and deciding to do it, and then committing to that decision every single day. So my hope is that a lot of the barriers that people are having will be broken by the sheer belief in themselves and the sheer showing up to take action. So I think that everybody needs a coach. And I think more and more people are going to get coaches, which is great, because more and more people are becoming coaches. Now, that's going to take a level of discernment, that you need to make sure that you have the coach for you. You have a coach that you vibe with. You have a coach that you trust. You have a coach that you're comfortable with. You have a coach who knows what they're talking about.
I have a question on that. If I'm going and looking for a coach, like how should I, like what should the discernment be on my end? Like what should I be looking for? Because I know that there's a lot of people out there that go and see the person being the absolute best in their industry, and they're just starting out, and so they feel like that's an alignment, and I don't necessarily agree. So what do you feel like discernment is? Like if someone is going and looking for a coach, like what should they be asking themselves along that process?
Yeah. So when a coach is interviewing you to create a coaching relationship, you are just as much interviewing them. So follow your body response. Like, I'm a big fan of making your decisions from the body, and your human design authority has the aspect of your body that's going to be the most helpful for you. So if you have any questions about that, just come talk to me and we'll discuss it. But like, I'm a big fan of tapping into your body. Does this feel right in your gut? Does it feel expansive? Does it feel exciting? If you're more of like the praying type or the meditating type, pray on it, meditate on it. If you have a coach that's pressuring you to make a decision, if that doesn't feel in alignment with you, then perhaps that's not the right coach for you. And, you know, coaches all over the world that hear this are going to want to smack me in the face because I just screwed up their sales process. But look, I'm on the side of the client. Like, I think what's going to be really important is that you vibe with them, you feel safe with them, you trust them. And have they already done on some level what you want to do? Do you see in them a version of you that you want to become? Because people can only teach and coach from their experience and their knowledge. And so if you have somebody, you know, who's like a million steps ahead of you, the advice that they're going to be willing to give or able to give or like want to give is going to be not a million steps below, but probably like up to 15 steps below, right? Like, they can help you get where they got in the last year, 6 months, 3 months. But really, like, it's going to be really hard for them to dial all the way back. I mean, try to think of like what you were doing 5 years ago. Could you walk someone through that process? Most of the time, I can't even tell you what I ate for dinner last week. You know,
Same.
like, well, because it's useless information. Like, at that level of your life, what's important is like, you know, not necessarily what you did 5 years ago. It's what you did yesterday or last month. And so, and the other thing to consider is like, are credentials important to you? Do you think, like, I mean, I'm not technically certified by any coaching school. I did go to life coach school. It didn't come with a certification, but I have a psychology degree. So if it's important to you that your coach is well educated, if it's important to you that your coach has a business, then perhaps a coach that has a business versus a coach that is working for a business. So there's different things that you can find, but I think ultimately the most important thing for your discernment is trusting your intuition, your bodily response, and giving it a try, right? Like, it's not a problem to be on a call with a coach where you're interviewing, trying to figure out the coaching relationships for you, and asking them anything that comes to your mind that you think will help you figure that out. And then it's not wrong to be like, hey, I don't feel like this coaching relationship is a good fit for me. If you get in with a coach and you're like, realizing like, I don't know, maybe you're not making progress, maybe you don't feel safe, maybe you don't love the way that they're treating you, I think it's totally okay, and all coaches should be comfortable with you saying at least, hey, I'm not enjoying this aspect of our relationship. And honestly, how a coach responds to that will tell you a lot.
I feel like sometimes with coaches, at least in my experience, if they're like, well, if you're not all in, I don't want you. And it's like, well, I'm, still seeing how this relationship is going to go. Cause like, I believe in this moment, it's going to go great after our one coaching session, but after 3, it might be, oh, I don't know if this is like working out. I know that I've had those experiences before, and it's so hard to navigate that. And especially as like a people pleaser trying to be a reformed people pleaser, it's very challenging. What do you feel, Brigitte?
No, I completely agree, Emily. And I think what Karleigh just laid out was such a good example for folks that maybe are building that relationship or kind of trying to navigate it like you described, where is even the navigation of forming that relationship conducive to what they're promising. Like, I was thinking about how Karleigh's description, even the process she just described, it to me, I heard helping someone feel aligned and helping someone feel empowered throughout that whole process. Like and I've seen you do this where you really, that idea of kind of tapping into how does that feel with you, and kind of understanding where someone might be getting their answers from or some of their insights, and really taking the time to like pause and see, like check in with people before moving to the next steps. I've seen you do that. I've, even in conversations that weren't coaching focused, conversations we've had, you've kind of checked in and been like, how does that resonate with you? How does that feel with you? And even like knowing my human design, you've like checked in with that. And it really does give the person the sense of authority, because I think that's something I like about your approach is it's really respecting people's authority in their own lives. And like, what a way to help people step into being empowered in their own lives is you're supporting them in that process, feeling aligned in their own lives. So I think that's almost a great example of how coaches might be giving us those signs earlier on of, are they really there for what they say they are, versus some of those scenarios like you described, Emily, where it's like sounds a little questionable, right? Where it's maybe a little bit more pushing versus letting someone really step into being in the role they want to be ultimately.
Yeah, thank you for reflecting that to me, Bridget. And just for the listener who's like, that was a long answer to that question, I would say what Emily said is going to be really beneficial to you. So when you're on that initial call with your coach and you're trying to figure out, or your potential coach who you may or may not vibe with, and you're trying to figure out, maybe you ask them, what if I choose to end this coaching relationship early? What happens? What's your process? What's your plan? How would we address that? And then, your body will tell you if someone's not in integrity. Most of the time, we've all been victims to some level of scamming. And most of the time, our body is like, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. And our brain's like, but it might not be. And so I want you to listen to your body. And I want you to, if you start to feel like, hey, I think the other person on the end of this video call might be full of shit. They might be out of integrity. And, another thing you can ask coaches is like, hey, could I talk to some of your former clients, or could you send me their testimonials? And every coach is going to have a different answer to that, right? So you never really know what you're going to get, but just being able to really advocate for yourself. And it's hard because most of the time you're seeing a coach because you're not ready to advocate for yourself. But that coach should spend that time empowering you and teaching you how, because at the very least, you leave there with the ability to make better decisions for you.
Absolutely. And I think everything that y'all just described can easily apply to so many different areas of someone's life where that may be on their vision board. So like those initial conversations with a company, if they're wanting a new job, or with a business partner, if they're going to start a new venture, with a life partner, if they're out dating and like getting to know people and seeing, like, I think that's great advice of really, being able to gauge, are these next steps, am I building the things to follow my passions, to follow ideally what's on the board.
Yeah. And I can know from my experiences, sometimes I haven't been the question asker in those situations because I don't want to hurt their feelings, or at least in my mind, hurting somebody's feelings. But I feel like I've gotten to a place now where I feel like it hurts more to hurt my own feelings. And so I feel like that months down the road, like if I didn't do my due diligence up front and I'm like dealing with this now, I'm like, dang, like I could have done X, Y, or Z in the beginning and totally avoided this, but because I didn't want to hurt somebody's feelings. And it's like, and A, it may not actually hurt their feelings. And B, if it does hurt their feelings, then that's probably a clear indication that they're not the right person for you to begin with. Right. So it's like, don't just cling on to what's available to you. Like stretch yourself and look for people that are, ready and available to stretch you.
I love that, Emily. Yeah, absolutely. So Karleigh, for someone who is maybe hesitant to pursue their passions, or I know, here at the Whole Damn Table, we talk a lot about leading in your field, leading in your life. So, looking for more visibility, pushing for more representation. So if someone is still feeling a little hesitant to pursue any of that, what advice might you give them?
Yeah, something I wanted to touch on earlier that I didn't get a chance to and kind of forgot about was make sure that's what you really want. So for me, for example, I was living in my conditioning. My desire to be a doctor was not a desire at all. It was a trauma response. My friend died of cancer when I was little. Another one died later. And I was like, it's a calling. God wants me to be a doctor. If not, why would he kill my friends? And it wasn't based in authentic desire. It wasn't based in what I actually wanted for myself. Now, my core mission was the same, just like Bridget commented on earlier, where I I absolutely wanted to help people. But ultimately, that time that I made that decision, I wanted to help little girls like me not lose their friends. And that's why I wanted to be a doctor. But now that I've really figured out, okay, what do I really want? And ask myself more questions than what's the job I want. I ask myself, what's the lifestyle I want? What other things do I want outside of work? And I've really kind of created this ability to create what I want and to have. That's the other thing, and I'm interrupting myself, but it's fine. You can have it all. You can have it all. And that's the mindset, the whole damn table, not just a seat. You can have it all. And that is
Yes.
the mindset that you need to start with, is if I could have absolutely anything in the world, if I wasn't afraid of failure, if I knew for sure I would be 100% successful, what do I really want? And that's a huge vision finding question, and it could get overwhelming. So if you have trouble with that, hit me up. I'll help you. But like, so knowing that you can have it all, and then figuring out what having it all looks like next month, next 3 months, next 6 months, and then dialing that shit back. All right, next week, tomorrow, today, and setting up these timelines and these milestones and these markers to getting what you want, and not being afraid to ask for help. If I had asked for help earlier, if I actually like randomly found coaching. Like I bought what I thought was a yoga membership, and it included all sorts of coaching, and it changed everything for me. And so if I had known to seek help earlier, if I had asked anybody to just like talk through my goals and visions with me, I would have found out much earlier that these weren't authentic desires, these were trauma responses. But I didn't ask for help. And so I think that that is huge for breaking through barriers, for, you know, just becoming the version of you that you want to be, is seeing it, believing it, committing to it, doing it, and asking for help when you need to.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can the church say amen one more time for Miss Karleigh's TED
Amen.
Talk today? Thank you for your TED Talk. We appreciate it. That's so good. I love that.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to take a video recording of you saying thank you for your TED Talk. And I'm just going to be like, yeah, that's my next goal. I'm going to TED Talk. All right.
You can put it in your vision video.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Also a helpful tool.
Wait, that's another, like, yeah, that is a helpful tool. I have a mind movie. I think it's a Joe Dispenza concept. Originally, but like I made this video. It's 3 minutes long of like everything I want in life, and honestly, the video is not as easy to update as the virtual vision board. So I don't update it very much. In fact, I just make more videos, and now I spend like 10 minutes in the morning watching videos I made of my ideal life. But whatever works for you. So yeah, that's another thing you can do if you're more of like that kind of like, if videos are more your speed. Google Mind Movie and see if you can make one, because that's another really good tangible thing you can do for yourself. And then share it with me on Instagram, because I'd love to watch it.
Yes. Yeah, I love this
Love
mind
that,
movie.
Karleigh.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah, I love that as an idea of kind of getting really like excited around something. But I also love the way you described how you have your vision board as that high level vision that then is right there next to the calendar and the habit tracker of getting more and more specific and action oriented towards that bigger vision.
Thank you. Yeah. And I don't know. Honestly, it was very intuitive the way that it wound up being put together, but like it's right here next to my desk. So you'll catch me looking over at it. I'm like, all right, there's the vision, there's what I have going, and there's what I'm doing every day. And it's just really nice to check in with yourself. Habit trackers have been a game changer for me. I'm a Virgo rising and I have a Capricorn stellium. Those earth placements, they love to check boxes. If you have any earth placements in your chart, give a to-do list a try.
I'm a Taurus.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I love, like, it gives me so much joy to check a box.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like, it's a game changer. I mean, like the air signs and stuff, they won't feel so connected to it. But if it works for you, it works for you.
So Karleigh, speaking of visions, what would you say is your ultimate vision for Aligned and Empowered? And how do you hope to continue leading tables on a mission to empower more goodness and connection in the world?
Yeah, I would love to know what's like the next table for Karleigh. Like,
Yes.
what's on this
Man,
vision board? What is this next table for Karleigh?
I can't help but think really big. So this is probably like when all the little tables combine to become this massive table. And I'm going to say it in the present tense because that's how I like to view it.
Mm-hmm.
So Aligned and Empowered is a personal development empire. It is a global organization that helps empower you at the individual level so that you can empower people around you. There's chapters all over the world. I am getting to speak on stages. I can meet anybody at any price point to help them get started on becoming the person that they want to be, to start their personal development and their healing journey. We've got things as small as crystals, planners, journals, oracle cards, all the way up to like masterminds, one-to-one coaching. Like, I love coaching, and I hope to, always be able to do it. But I also hope to be able to reach more people by empowering other coaches to take the strategies I use and, create a whole coaching practice around Aligned and Empowered, because I see this being huge. I want it to be, and not huge like in a, I don't know, greedy way, more like in an impact way. Like, I want to reach so many people globally because I've seen the power of personal development, of carefully sculpting yourself and choosing who you want to be and how you want to show up, deciding who the fuck you are and choosing not to live in your conditioning. And I want it so bad for everybody. I think it will make us better people, better moms, better husbands, better wives, better children, better cousins, better teachers. Like, literally just having the power to decide who you want to be and then putting in the work and the effort to become her day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. On a personal development journey, you get the joy and the power of looking back and being like, I don't even know that version of me 5 years ago. And it feels good because that wasn't who you wanted to be in the first place. So that's what I want for Aligned and Empowered, is to give everybody that satisfaction and that feeling of growth and expansion, of being exactly who they want to be and having everything they want, because there's plenty for all of us.
That's so powerful, Karleigh. And I think you're onto something, because I know that there's so many people that once you experience something that changes your life and makes you feel that much better, that much more empowered, aligned in your own life, you want to share it with others. You don't want to just hold it just to yourself. Like, if it changed your life, you want it to, and supports your life, you want it to be able to support others too. So I think you're onto something. I can see it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that, because I feel like that, the more that we're deeply connected with ourselves means that we can deeply connect more with other people. And I feel like once we deeply connect with other people, then that, creates a ripple effect. And like, that's when change happens, y'all. So I love that. So we're going to wrap up here. But is there anything else that you want to share before we ask you about what's going on in your life? Anything that we missed? Anything you want to say?
I pulled you guys a card before the call. I like to pull oracle cards before I do any kind of calls. It just, I don't know, it feels good. So I pulled this one with the intention of, for this podcast, and I got, thou shalt prosper and get that money. So the bottom says, the universe is pouring her abundance out to you. Everything you need flows freely to you now. Remember, abundance comes in many forms: money, opportunities, ideas, inspiration, solutions. Be open to receiving it all.
Okay, we're just going to...
for a vision board day.
Yeah, drop the mic.
Totally.
Meow, meow, meow. I love that for the abundance, because, everything you shared is definitely so much abundance, right, that is available to everybody, and you just really want people to deeply connect to that so that they can get everything that they want in their life. And I know that with the podcast and the whole damn table is that we're trying to bring those connectors to the world so that everybody can see that, they do deserve to be leading tables and having everything that they want, and not just settling for literally anything, not just settling, like, period.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have a similar mission. So I'm so honored to be your first podcast guest, because fuck settling. Like, you're worth so much more than that.
You are not worth settling. Like, you weren't put on this planet to settle. you were put on this planet to like dream so much bigger than you could ever possibly imagine. I know that we have big plans for the podcast, so very excited about that. But I want to talk about your exciting stuff, Karleigh. So tell us, like, what exciting like projects or initiatives do you have coming up with Aligned and Empowered, and also where can people on the pod squad come and find you and stalk you and love you?
Oh, I welcome anybody who's listening to the whole damn table to join me on Instagram. That's the best place to find me right now. So it's at Aligned and Empowered 111, all spelled out, and then with 3 1s for new beginnings. Big angel number, girly. Now, in terms of things I have going on right now, all sorts of stuff, and I'll keep my Instagram up to date so you guys can see it. I do human design readings, I do oracle card readings. I have all sorts of stuff going at any given time, but my favorite thing I'm working on right now is called Create a Life You Love. And it's a group coaching program that's all about figuring out what you want and starting to get it. Brigitte has actually helped me so much with that, and she will be there for it. And so if you're interested in creating a life you love, just let me know and we'll see how we can work that out. And it's a labor of love, and everything. It's actually so funny now that I'm thinking about it, but everything that we talked about today, it's really all about how I decided to create a life I love, and I'm doing it. And like, that's hard for me to say out loud a little bit, because it's like, very rarely do we look around and say like, fuck, it's here. But like, really we're doing it. And like, you guys are doing it. You started the podcast. I know you dreamt of this for a while. And so I guess, so yes, find me on Instagram. Let me know if you're interested in Create a Life You Love. Book a free discovery call and we'll talk about it 1-to-1. You will get to interview me just like I interview you. But also just congratulations, you guys, for doing it. Like, I want to leave the listeners too with like, take a look at your life and what parts of it have you always dreamt of or always wanted that you have right now. And so not just like, what am I grateful for? Like there's value in that. There's utility in it for sure. But like, think a little bit, get more excited about it than that. Like, I want the listeners to really just think, what would the little version of me like shit her pants with excitement about?
Yes.
Like, what would she be screaming like, what? This is our life? What part of your life gives your inner child that feeling? I want to ask that. Just, I don't know. It's on my heart. And based on this conversation, I think it's a great place to start.
Yeah. I love it. I feel like I got so much today from this conversation. I am just so grateful that you agreed to come on our little podcast and be our first guest and just, share all the light that you love, all the light and all the love that you have for the world with our little pod squad community. I'm so glad you came. Yay.
You have so much knowledge to share, and you share in such an inspiring and uplifting way and I'm so excited for what you've been working on and getting to see a lot of it. It's really exciting stuff. So I'm so glad you were able to share a part of it here on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It was really fun to get to share my vision with you guys. And I feel so comfortable in this space. Like, this is the best fucking table ever.
You heard it here. We're the best fucking table ever. Yes.
This is like the opposite of like, like school lunch where like you're trying to figure out where to sit. It's like, no, everybody join us. And like in such a fun way. Yeah, you can sit with us.
Yes.
I love it. And so I'm honored to be here, grateful to be at y'all's table and to be creating massive tables of my own and owning that shit.
Yeah, I feel like we need to have a shirt that says you can sit with us, Brigitte. That's a side note.
Yeah, side note, it's happening.
Yes.
I love it.
Side note, merch to come. Anyway, so happy that you were I'm such a squirrel. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, Karleigh. We love you. We loved having you. And we are excited that our pod squad is going to get to, be a part of your world too, as well as ours. So thanks for coming, guys. Chat next week. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Whole Damn Table podcast with Brigitte Donovan and Emily Wilson.
What happens after you?
If you're new to the pod, welcome. We're so happy you are here. You can find us on social media at The Whole Damn Table on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
All of the show notes from this episode and all of our episodes can be found on our website at www.thewholedamntable.com.
A big, huge thank you to our executive producer, Ivy Mazza, and our music creator, Ryan Fisher. You can find him on Instagram at fishbeats with 2 S's.
And lastly, if you enjoyed the episode, please give us a rating wherever you listen to podcasts. This helps us to get out our message, our mission, and our impact with more listeners that want what we're sharing. Thank you again for listening, and chat next week.
Chat with y'all next week. Bye, y'all.